What's going on there, YouTube? This is Quinn, that snazzy iPhone guy, and this is the retro review of the PowerBook 160 from Apple circa 1992. Now, this is a pretty interesting computer. For those of you that don't really know your Apple history, this was the second generation of laptops in Apple's whole existence. There was the original Macintosh Portable, which was really not that portable. It folded up and it was all good and great, and the battery was awful, but it worked. It was theoretically a portable computer. The fact was, it wasn't a laptop. It was certainly something you wouldn't use on your lap. It was definitely a desktop-based computer. It was really heavy because of its quote-unquote portability. A lot of expansion was, locked out and ictioned, and it had a whopping $6,800 price tag, so no one wanted to get the Macintosh Portable. Then they came out with the original PowerBook 100 and 140, which were pretty well successful, and this was the second generation. The PowerBook 100 and 140 were released in October of 1991, and these came out in October of 1992. Now, in October of 92, there was the PowerBook 145, the 145, the 160, and the 180. So there were three computers in this 1992 lineup. This was the middle of the road computer. It wasn't, the budget one, but it wasn't the expensive one. It was in the middle. Now, it was mighty expensive. It was $2,480 when it came out, which with inflation equates to about $3,805 in current currency. So that was quite a bit of dough to drop on a computer. Now, it had a wicked sick 25 megahertz Motorola 68030 CPU. It has a 10-inch passive matrix LCD, and it was the first Apple machine capable of displaying 4-bit grayscale on the display on the laptop, so that's pretty cool. And it also was the first computer to have an external color monitor being able to, it was able to connect to an external color monitor and could display 8-bit color at a 832 by 624 pixel resolution. So pretty mediocre, but this was the first laptop that was capable of outputting to an external color monitor, which was pretty dang cool. Now, it has 4 megabytes of RAM, and it's expandable to 14 megabytes. This still has the 4 megabyte stock. It has an 8 megabyte hard drive, not 80, not 800, 8 megabyte hard drive, and it weighs about 6.8 pounds. So, it's actually not that heavy. This was one of the first computers that was actually portable in Apple's lineup. Of course, there were the 140 and the 160. The 100 and the 140 and the 160 followed those two. But this was pretty light. The current MacBook Pro 15 is like a pound less. This is pretty close to the current generation MacBook Pro 17-inch. So that's still heavy, but it's definitely portable. You could lug it around. It's not like carrying your Apple Lisa to and from work. It was a lot more portable than, past laptops in Apple's lineup. So as for the device itself, you're going to get this. It is very thick despite its lighter weight. Just for comparison's sake, I have my MacBook Pro 15-inch 2011 model here, and as you can see, the MacBook Pro is about the same thickness. It's actually a little bit thinner than the lid or the display on the PowerBook 160. So things have slimmed down significantly. Also, we have on here, this is the battery door. This did have an interchangeable battery, which Apple quite honestly should still do. This would pop out a little bit more, and then you could pull your battery out. The battery in here is shot, so I have to plug it in via an AC cord, but that was nice that you could pop your batteries in and out if you needed more power. So you can do that. That's pretty handy. Down here on the bottom, we have the latch to open the screen. Here on the side, we have a floppy drive, a 1.44 megabyte floppy. You have these little feet here. They're actually pretty cool. It's like a keyboard kick-up. On the bottom of a keyboard, it lets it stand a little higher. Rather than making the laptop sit flat, you could tip this up so that it had a little bit of an angle, which was pretty dang cool. As for these ports, you have, of course, the power. This was just a standard power port, nothing proprietary or anything special. You had a Kensington lock slot. You had the SCSI port. You had, I'll zoom in a little bit, you had the Apple desktop bus port, the ADB port. This was their proprietary video out. I don't really know exactly what this is composed of or what this is called, but this was their video out. You had a sound in for a microphone and then a sound out to speakers. You had your keyboard and a mouse, and then you had your modem. And then you have 3 buttons here. This is the power button. And when this came out, and if you find one in good condition, there will actually be a door here. So the door would actually be required to get access to the power button itself, which is kind of funny. A little bit inconvenient, but pretty funny. You also found a... actually, I take that back. This was not a mouse port. I lied. This was this one. That's the ADB port. This is the printer port. So if you did have a printer, you could print through this via Apple's Style Writer printer series. So that's pretty cool. You have a interrupt button and a reset button. I looked in the interrupt button in the Apple manual and I actually couldn't even find anything on it, so I'm quite honestly not sure what this does. The hinge on this is super not in good condition. I need to do a little bit of renovation to it. It's so bad I actually worry about breaking the lid every time I open and close it, so I'm going to be a little bit careful here. I'm going to re-screw it back in so that everything will be good and dandy. But I'm going to move my current generation MacBook out of the way. We'll plug this in and boot this baby up and kind of give you a demo of the software. So here we have this right here. Plug this in. You got your power down here on the end. And we're going to open the lid, of course. Okay, so right here, you do not have your typical chiclet style keyboard you see nowadays. This is a full-on keyboard. I mean, this is like legit keyboard, which is awesome. It's an excellent keyboard to type on, way better, in my opinion, than the current generation MacBook Pro. You have a trackball. Trackpads were not yet available. They were not implemented until, I believe, 94. In the later PowerBooks, but you had this actual ball, which was really funny. So this is how you navigate. You have a left and right click button. Of course, the right click was not usable until I think it was OS 7.5. I don't remember, but you have left and right here. Really, what this was for, since there's no right click by default, was for left-handed people, so they could use this and then click. So that's a dual clicker, but it really had no significance if you weren't using it with any individual input. So, okay, and then down here on the bottom, you have one single button. It's not a rocker style, so there you go. And you could use either one you wanted. They both perform exactly the same function, so there you go. You have your keyboard here. You have a contrast display here, or a contrast little editor here. You can choose the contrast on the display as it is black and white, and then you can, of course, choose the brightness. And then you have a microphone port here, and you have a speaker grill. So there is a speaker and a microphone in here, which is pretty dang cool if you ask me. We'll zoom up right here to the actual display and boot this bad boy up. I'll avert my lamp so you can actually see what's going on. Maybe I'll put one back on. It's kind of going out of focus. It's going to take a minute to boot up, so just give it some time. Maybe. Where is it? Oh, it's already booted. Well, it's booting as we speak. The contrast is kind of wonky on this. I'm going to take this back off. These aren't working. So it'll kind of give you a chance to see what this is like. It's pretty funny, and it just shows you how much we've come in a mere 20 years. So there we go. Fix the contrast a little bit, and we are pretty much set and ready to go here. The display, again, is older, and I do have to kind of adjust it to exactly where I want it for contrast and brightness, and it doesn't stay continual. I mean, you do have to kind of adjust it as you go on to make sure it all works out. See, now the contrast is too high. So there we go. All right, so you have basic access. It's running, I believe, System 7.0.2. I don't remember exactly, though. So if we hold this and go to About This Macintosh, turn the contrast down again. Nope, it's running System Software 7.1. As you can see, there's the 8,192 kilobits of memory on the hard drive, and there you go. So there's not a whole lot to this. We're going to kind of do a little walk through here. You have this Apple menu, of course, where all your applications are. It didn't come with a whole lot. I mean, there were basic functions. There was a word processor and then a little paint utility. And then you could add Microsoft Office if you so chose to do so. One really cool thing is this actually preserved all your calculations and restored them when you rebooted. So you could reboot the computer and it would have your last calculation on there. It actually stored it on the hard drive, which was pretty dang cool. So that's neat to see. But you can do simple math. You can enter either the keyboard or regular. So we're going to go 2, Shift plus 2, then press enter, and you will see that it equals 4. And it can handle pretty much all math pretty easily. If we move down here, I just want to show you the keyboard really quick because it's pretty funny. Most of it is the same. You have your tabs, caps lock, shift on both sides, return, delete. So there's not a whole lot that's changed. The arrow keys were all in a line, which was, I can imagine, rather annoying. And then down here, you had another enter key. So there was the enter and return. So that's kind of funny and a little bit quirky. You had your command key on this side. It was only on one side. And as you can see, that's gigantic. I don't know what I hit. That was a joke I filmed. That's my alert or my error warning. Don't worry about that. Okay, you have your escape key here, your option key, and your control key. So let's go back up to the display and we will try some of these fun things out. Of course, you can... I don't have Microsoft Office loaded on here right now. There's an alias for it, but it doesn't have anything that actually works. I think the user before me wiped this computer, but Claris Works is an application that does work if we can access it here. The alias is broken, but here we go. This is kind of an all-in-one application that's actually pretty cool. I don't know who develops it. I don't know what it was designed for, but it does have quite a bit of functionality. You have a word processing program in here, you have a spreadsheet program, you have a paint program, and you have a couple other things. It's really pretty powerful. You have word processing, drawing, painting, spreadsheet, database, and communications. Now, you can click word processing right here, and we'll go to OK. And then we will type, of course, our favorite saying. You can choose the font size and the font that it uses. It's really pretty close to what modern word processing is today. Still uses all the same functions. Apple Q is quit. Apple H is not present because there was no hide function until OS 10. But if we go on here real quick and type, as you can see, it types like a beast. You could type my master's thesis on here. I really do want to take this to class one day and see what people see when they see a 20-year-old computer. Anyway, again, all the same functions. Command Q is quit. We're not going to save that. But I mean, it's really just a not unique, but rare computer. This was actually assembled and made here in the United States. It was not made in Taiwan or Japan, which many of Apple's products were made in Japan back in this time. This was made in the USA. And that's definitely something you never see anymore, especially with computing and technology. But this was way back in the days before we exported all that stuff. But you have your basic stuff. You have puzzles here. These were just these were funny. It's really a terrible puzzle, and you're able to, slide those bricks around and get it into the same spot. It's not really practical with the track wheel here. You'd want to have connected an external mouse to kind of get the full usability of the machine. But you have some games in here. You have TouchBase, TextByte, Scrapbook. Again, some of these are third-party applications. A lot of them are actually, but you can access the control panel. The control panel was very inconvenient. It wasn't like the nice bundled system settings of today. You actually had to go in here and it was like a file, and you'd actually have to scroll down through every one of these to find the actual thing you wanted to edit. So keyboard, we could click keyboard right here, double-click that, and it'll open the control panel, and it tells us, all right, what do you want the key repeat rate to be, the delay until repeat, and then what keyboard you want and the layout of it. So it's pretty archaic. You can go back down into here. You can do numbers, memory, monitoring, the mouse, tracking speed, and there's just a lot in here that is pretty much useless. We're going to go into sound real quick so we can do a little bit of a demo. There is an external mic in this, as well as an internal mic as well as an internal speaker. So you could create a bunch of different sounds. It's just people that owned it before me making a very ugly laugh. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to make a sound right here. We're going to zoom out real quick, and we're going to type add. And now we're going to hit the record button here and say, stay snazzy, folks. You ready? Hi, I'm Quinn, that's Snazzy iPhone Guy, and thanks for watching. It fell a little bit behind, but it captured it. You can hear it. I'll pull the mic out of this little, hold on just a second. I'll get you there so you can hear it to its full potential. Hi, I'm Quinn, that's Snazzy iPhone Guy, and thanks for watching. So it's funny in that recording because you can actually hear the hard drive spinning up and a bunch of that other stuff. So it wasn't very practical, but I mean, it could take notes. It could do stuff while you were, it could record audio while you were taking notes. And it was the first computer to really be one of Apple's really successful, prolific computers. And there it is, the PowerBook 160, released way back in the day, 1991, for a retail of a whopping $2,480, which equates to about $3,805 in today's currency. It was definitely one of the landmarks of Apple's modern computing, and a lot of the features. The funny thing is not so much. You don't have to, you look at stuff and you say, wow, look how much has changed. But you also look at stuff and say, wow, look how much is the same. You really know that these guys got it right because all the hotkeys are the same, the keyboard's the same, the desktop layout's the same, the folder layout's the same. A lot of this stuff has not changed in 20 years. So you really know that the original designers at Apple knew what they were doing, and they created an awesome product from the get-go. This is Quinn, that's Snazzy iPhone Guy. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was a little bit long, but hopefully it was exciting. And as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.